Now we discuss inverse function theorem. I came to know that the inverse function theorem and its proof have been discussed by Professor Marudai with more details in this webinar. So we state this theorem without proof. Before starting the theorem, we recall a well-known theorem from real analysis which says that if f is a differentiable function from R to R such that f dash of t naught is non-zero at a particular point, there is a neighborhood of t naught in which the function becomes 1 to 1 and the function has an inverse from a neighborhood of f of t naught such that f inverse has derivative at f of t naught and the derivative of f inverse at t naught is given by the reciprocal of f dash of t naught. Analogous to this theorem, the inverse function theorem on several variables says that if f is a continuously differentiable function on an open subset S of r power n into r power n such that the Jacobian of f at a is non-zero, where the Jacobian of f at a is the absolute value of the determinant of the matrix representing f dash of a with respect to the standard basis, then there is a neighborhood of a in which the function f is 1 1 and it is open and the inverse of f is defined from the image of the neighborhood is a continuously differentiable function and the derivative of f inverse at f of a is given by inverse of the linear transformation f dash of a. Now we state and prove implicit function theorem, which is an immediate application of inverse function theorem. We might have come across some equation of several variables where a few variables are dependent and the remaining variables are independent. Although the dependent variable is not represented explicitly by the independent variables, we can find the partial derivative of a dependent variable with respect to an independent variable from the implicit relation. When it can be done, that is answered by implicit function theorem. Before stating the theorem, we introduce some notations. We write ordered pair a comma b with a and b are given in bold font. This means that ordered pair a comma b belongs to r power n plus m with the understanding that a is a vector from r power n and b is a vector from r power m. Similarly, if we write ordered pair x comma y with x and y are in bold font, this means that this ordered pair is in r power n plus m and x is in r power n and y is in r power m. We also use the notation dou f by dou y at a comma b. Certainly, it is not the partial derivative of f with respect to y. This means that for a given a, f of a comma y can be viewed as a function of y. Y is a variable from r power m. Now this function has total derivative and that is denoted by dou f by dou y at a comma b. Now we state the implicit function theorem. Let u be an open subset of r power n plus m. ab is a point of u and f is a continuously differentiable function from u into r power m. If f of ab is 0 and determinant of dou f by dou y at a comma b is non-zero, then there exists an open subset v of u containing ab and an open subset a of r power n containing a and a function g from a to r power m such that g has continuous partial derivatives on a. The set of all points xy at which f of x vanishes is same as the ordered pair x comma g of x where x varies over a. The matrix representing g dash of x is given by minus of inverse of the matrix representing dou f by dou y at x comma g of x multiplied by the matrix representing dou f by dou x at x comma g of x. To prove the implicit function theorem, first we define a function capital F from u into r power n plus m by capital F of x comma y is equal to x comma small f of x comma y. as the projection maps and small f are having continuous partial derivatives, capital F has continuous partial derivatives. To find the matrix representing capital F dash of AB, first we write the coordinates of capital F in the expanded form as small x1, small x2, small x3, etc. small xn, then small f1, small f2, etc. small fm. Therefore, the first row of the matrix representing capital F dash of AB is having the partial derivatives of small x1 with respect to x1, x2, x3, xn and y1, y2, y3, ym. And the second row of the matrix is having the entries partial derivative of x2 with respect to x1, x2, x3, xn and then y1, y2, y3 up to ym. Similarly, the nth row of the matrix is having the entries partial derivative of xn with respect to x1, x2, x3, xn and y1, y2, y3 up to ym. Therefore, the top left block of the matrix is the identity matrix of order n cross n and the top right block of the matrix is the zero matrix of order n cross m. In the same way, we can verify that the left bottom block of the matrix is the matrix representing dou f by dou x at AB and the right bottom block of the matrix is the matrix representing dou f by dou y at AB. So, the determinant of the matrix representing capital F dash of AB is equal to the determinant of the identity matrix of order n cross n into the determinant of the matrix representing dou f by dou y at AB. Therefore, we get the Jacobian of capital F at AB is determinant of the matrix representing dou f by dou y at AB, which is non-zero. Now we observe that capital F satisfies the hypothesis of inverse function theorem. Therefore, there exists an open subset V of U containing A, B and an open subset W of R power n plus m containing capital F of A, B which is equal to A, 0 such that capital F from V to W is a bijection and its inverse G from W to V has a continuous partial derivatives. If we denote A by the set of all x in R power n for which x, 0 belongs to W, then A is an open subset of R power n, as it is the inverse image of W under a continuous map H defined by h of x is equal to x, 0. Since A, 0 belongs to W, we have small a belongs to capital A. Now we define small g from A to R power m by g of x is equal to P2 of capital G of x, 0 for all x in A, where this P2 is the second projection defined from R power n plus m into R power m by P2 of x, y is equal to y. We note that whenever x, y belongs to V such that small f of x, y is equal to 0 is equivalent to whenever x and y belongs to V with capital F of x, y is equal to x, 0. This is equivalent to x, 0 belongs to W and capital G of x, 0 is equal to x, y. That is equivalent to x belongs to A and small g of x is equal to P2 of capital G of x, 0 which is P2 of x, y which is equal to y. Therefore, we get that the set of all x, y belongs to V with f of x, y is equal to 0 is equal to set of all x, g of x where x varies over A. To prove the set of all x comma y belongs to V such that small f of x comma y is equal to 0 is same as the set of all ordered pair x comma g of x where x varies in A. First we start with x comma y belongs to V and small f of x comma y is equal to 0. It is obviously equivalent to capital F of x comma y is equal to x comma 0 because capital F of x comma y is defined by x comma small f of x comma y. We simply substitute small f of x comma y as 0 here. To get the next equivalence, we simply apply that capital F from V to W is a bijection and its inverse is given by G. Therefore, in the equation capital F of xy is equal to x comma 0, if we apply g on both sides, we get g of x comma 0 is equal to x comma y. Similarly, applying capital F on both sides of x comma y belongs to V, we get x comma 0 belongs to W. The last equivalence is obvious because by definition x comma 0 belongs to W is equivalent to x belongs to A, and small g by definition P2 of capital G of x comma 0 which is nothing but y. Now we introduce one more function phi from A into r power n plus m by phi of x is equal to ordered pair x comma small g of x. Using the previous claim, we get that whenever x belongs to A, the ordered pair x comma g of x belongs to the set of all x comma y for which small f of x comma y is equal to 0. Therefore, small f of x comma g of x is equal to 0 for all x in A, which implies that small f of phi of x is equal to 0 for all x in A. Now, applying chain rule for vector valued functions, we get f dash of phi of x composition phi dash of x is equal to 0. If we write this equation in terms of the matrices representing the derivatives f dash of phi of x and phi dash of x, we get that dou f by dou x of x comma g of x plus dou f by dou y of x comma g of x into g dash of x is equal to 0. From this equation, we can write g dash of x is equal to the required expression as stated in this theorem.